let me say this, because there's a couple of things here that are incredibly, incredibly important. Those of you who may not know, some very, very, very sad news that came out last night about John Bones Jones, the UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. John Bones Jones tested positive for steroids. That's what it says. That's what the news is right now. It's pretty sad. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm hurt. I'm hurt talking about this story because I'm very fond of this guy. I think that he is phenomenal. I really, really believe that. I really think that he's special. And I think that sport is great when he's around. And with him not around, it's just hard to put into words. He's 30 years old. And he was tested, I presume, before his fight July 29th versus Daniel Cormier. And the news story says he tested positive during the weigh-in for his last fight against Daniel Cormier. It says he will be stripped of his title, even though he hasn't been stripped as of yet. For those of you who missed it, he knocked out Daniel Cormier, kick to the head, and then after that, Daniel Cormier was wobbled, went down, and John Bones Jones was all over him. According to some reports, I don't know how accurate it is, but according to some reports, because it's the second time Jones has failed a drug test by the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency. Remember, he was suspended because he tested positive before UFC 200 last year. It says the title will be handed back to Daniel Cormier, and Jones could face a ban of up to 4 years. UFC statement reads, the UFC organization was notified today that the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, USADA, has informed John Jones of a potential anti-doping policy violation stemming from an in-competition sample collected following his weigh-in on July 28, 2017. USADA, the independent administrator of the UFC anti-doping policy, will handle the results management and appropriate adjudication of this case involving Jones as it relates to the UFC anti-doping policy and future UFC participation. Under the UFC anti-doping policy, there is a full and fair legal process that is afforded to all athletes before any sanctions are imposed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is bad. This is bad beyond measure. And it's bad because this isn't cocaine or some other drug where you have a dependence and you're harmful to yourself. When you see something like that, you pray for somebody, you wish them the best. Now, if you're engaging, if you're committing these mistakes over and over and over again, it's an exercise in stupidity, and we got to call it what it is. But in the end, our sympathy is with you. And more importantly, our heart goes out to you, and we want you to get well and do better. When it's performance-enhancing drugs, that's an entirely different ballgame, because that means you did something and you took something to give you an advantage over the competition. And I can't understand for the life of me how the guy named John Bones Jones, who I consider to be the best in the world, would need to have that advantage. It makes no sense to me. And when you look at it, I also feel sorry for Daniel Cormier. Because I remember how heated their discussions were and how much he couldn't stand John Bones Jones and vice versa. And then when John Bones Jones tested positive for cocaine and ultimately having some element of cocaine in the system. And ultimately he was suspended and for a year and couldn't fight and all of this other stuff. Daniel Cormier, I remember that press conference when he was just sad, but so incredibly respectful. And was all about wishing John Bones Jones well and that he'd get better and he'd get back in the octagon. And then you come back and you test positive for the steroids, you knock him out. But apparently, allegedly, you were performance enhanced. How fair is that to Daniel Cormier? And when broached about the subject, I believe last night or earlier this morning, Daniel Cormier was quoted as saying, I just don't know what to think anymore. And what else is he supposed to say? What else is he supposed to say? But ladies and gentlemen, this steroids thing is real. The one thing that you hear about John Bones Jones and some UFC fighters is that you see them frequently around bodybuilders. That's what you hear. And when you think about it from that perspective, we can't ignore this any longer. I mean, we want to talk about being role models and looking out for kids. We gotta step up. We gotta speak up. You got this guy, Dallas McCarver, dead at age 26, supposedly choking on food in his home in Florida, but you have people intimating possible PED use. You've got the GAT Nutrition, GAT, that's what they're called. They wanted everybody to know they're not responsible for John Bones Jones' failed PED test. They said, our products are fine. All of our products are legal. Mark Post, vice president for GAT Nutrition, issued the statement, nothing John is using from GAT contains anything that is banned. We do extensive third-party testing, and we know he has been tested several times. Everything has come up clear. We have no idea what has changed in what he has taken over the last month. We don't live with John, and we don't even know what the banned substance is. They don't want to hear their names brought up because he appeared to be blaming the supplement. They're trying to say they don't want to hear it. But he's been seen with bodybuilders. And bodybuilders themselves will tell you the one word you never hear associated with us is the word health. Because they sacrifice a lot and do a lot of damage to themselves to look the way that they look. Because they're competing. And that's not always the greatest thing. In terms of what they do and what they're willing to put into their bodies to get the look that they want to have. We got kids out there that think it's okay to use this stuff. We got young adults dying. We have individuals who have been class personified and have exercised fairness within the rules, getting cheated because they're going up against others who allegedly and reportedly are performance enhanced. We got a problem, ladies and gentlemen. We can't ignore it. 866-729 ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. Back to your phone calls in a minute. Reminding you, Mikey Garcia, lightweight champion of the world, is expected to be on the show with us. Hour number 2. Stick around. Jam-packed show coming your way right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Give Stephen A. a piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Jay. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jay?
Hey, how's it going, Stephen A?
I'm all right. Go ahead, bro.
Okay, yeah, I just want to say I think Cleveland came out on top on this one here. You know, when the first call came out, I tried to call in, but I think they can beat the Golden State Warriors. I'm gonna go that far with it.
Cleveland.
They got Crowder. He's gonna be able to get Draymond Green. And that's gonna set their whole team down pretty much. I got one more point I wanted to make when all this was coming out. Kyrie, he was elevated by LeBron's game, so I don't really look at him as no superstar, maybe a star, but.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. He's a star. The reason why I give him just a tad notch above is because he closed. It wasn't like he was a spectator or a bystander. A bystander. This dude showed up, and he had a lot to do. You got to remember, the year they won the championship, he averaged 27. This year in the finals, he averaged 29. I mean, it's not like the dude just showed up and spectated and said, LeBron, could you help me, please? He showed up too. And I think that has to be noticed is all I'm trying to say.
Well, he never seen the playoffs before LeBron came. So
yeah, but he had just came into the league, Jay. I mean, that was his first 3 years in the league. First 3 years in the league, went 21, 24, and then 33 games. And then after that, LeBron arrived. So what I'm saying to you is that it's not like the dude was in no man's land and heading nowhere. He was climbing and climbing and climbing, and he was putting people on the map. And you know what else Kyrie never gets credit for, Jay? Let me tell you the biggest thing. LeBron, when he departed for South Beach, who did he go to play with, Jay?
He went to play with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade.
Right? What you think he did? What you think he did with Cleveland? Came back to play eventually with Iman Shumpert? What do you think he was doing?
Well, nah, he was coming back home. Kyrie was there.
So let me get this straight. So Jay, you trying to sit here with a straight face and act like LeBron just wanted to be home around the family, huh? Like Kyrie ain't had nothing to do with his willingness to come home. Like looking at Kyrie being young at the time, only 21, 22 years of age, and the baller that he was. They ain't had nothing to do with LeBron willing to come back home, huh? That's what you willing to say?
Well, I ain't gonna say that, but like
he's not LeBron.
About the Cleveland trade though, they got the better deal on that. Let me say that.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yeah, they got the better deal, and
they got more bodies. They got more bodies.
They got to watch. LeBron plus all these other people. So I think that's what's going to give them that advantage to knock.
We'll see.
Okay,
that's what I said. That's what I said. I appreciate the call, Jay. Thank you so much. I get your point. No doubt. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Stephen A., my guy.
Yes.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, man.
Sure.
Usually I agree with you, but hear me out on this one. I think Boston got the best of this trade. 2 reasons, looking at it from both perspectives. Number one, you keep mentioning that Cleveland got 3 starters to replace Kyrie. So, but what they're ultimately getting is another Iman Shumpert and Jay Crowder, in my opinion, just bigger. You're getting Isaiah Thomas coming off injury, and you're getting an injury-prone Derrick Rose. So you're hoping they all stay healthy. But you're looking at it from Boston's point of view, you're getting a 25-year-old proven closer who you have signed for another 2 years to go along with the Haywards, with the Tatums, with the Jaylen Browns. So in my opinion, Boston won this trade because you're getting a proven closer who's hit the big shot against Golden State to uplift Cleveland 2 years ago in the finals. And you're getting on the other side 2 guys who are injured and another Iman Shumpert, just bigger. No closer on that team, in my opinion.
Well, I disagree with you, Chris, respectfully, because I understand your point and your points are valid. But I think I'm not talking about the trade itself got them 3 bodies because it's really Crowder and Isaiah Thomas. But you got to remember they acquired Derrick Rose in the offseason. They acquired Jeff Green. And so you have 4 individuals that have started for teams primarily throughout their career. And then you lose 1 starter. So, and even though you lost that starter who was an offensive juggernaut, you also gained an offensive juggernaut in Isaiah Thomas, who's proven that he could be there. And by the way, he did it in Boston without LeBron. So with LeBron on the court being a decoy, a distraction, who happens to be the best player in the world, don't tell me that's not going to help Isaiah Thomas. So when you look at that, and then you look at Crowder, who could spell for LeBron defensively, but also offensively could help add a little something, because he can hit perimeter shots. He's big and physical as well. He's a rough rider. You got Derrick Rose, who's experienced as a point guard. You got Jeff Green, who could also spell for LeBron and all of this other stuff. And not only that, they're interchangeable parts where the capability is there for them to be on the floor together if they don't want Kevin Love on the floor with them. So all of those things being considered and adding depth to the greatest player in the world, looking to go up against the Golden State Warriors, I would say Cleveland got the better end of this deal, albeit slightly, because neither team walked away with a bad deal here. Kyrie is good for Boston, but these other parts are good for Cleveland.
Yes, sir. I agree. Okay, I'm going to leave you with this, 'cause I know you got to run. So do you believe that LeBron goes through Isaiah to close the game? Let's say they get back to the finals, like how he did with Kyrie 2 years ago.
I think when a shot is needed, yes. It wouldn't surprise me at all if LeBron gave up the ball to Isaiah to hit a shot. Absolutely. I think he would. I think he would to some degree, just like he did with Kyrie. That's why I say this is still a very, very significant thing. Look, Cleveland is no joke, and I appreciate the call, Chris. Thank you so much. I'm not saying Cleveland's better than Golden State. I'm saying Cleveland is better than they were yesterday. Just like Boston is better than they were yesterday. I think Boston needed Kyrie desperately. Cleveland needed him, but Boston needed him desperately. He's bigger and stronger and just as skilled as Isaiah. So not having other parts to really give the ball to is something that Kyrie could have dealt with better than even Isaiah. The difference is he has Gordon Hayward now, too. Things are getting very, very interesting. I'll tell you this much, though. If you're the Washington Wizards, you can't be happy. If you didn't go to the Eastern Conference Finals last year, you damn sure ain't going now. 866-729-ESPN's the number to call up. The Trade, John Bones Jones, and then some. Mikey Garcia, too. Hour number 2 up next. Don't touch that dial.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.